Hello, my name is Fernando and I'm going to talk to you about my experience living and studying abroad. So when I was 14 years old, my father got a job in Paris. I decided to go live with him and I spent 1 year and a half in Paris. But the first 5 months living there, English was the only thing I used because I didn't know French. It was thanks to English. All the friends I made and how I survived. English helped me a lot. Now that you have that context, I'm going to talk to you about those benefits of living abroad. The first one is learning a new language. And even if you already know the language, for example, if you go to a country where they speak your language or they speak English, for example, if you go to England or to the United States, you still learn a lot because every country has its way of using it. And if you happen to go to a country where their language is something you don't know, let me tell you this, each language comes implicitly with some level of its speaker's way of regarding the world. So by learning a new language, you don't just expand the amount of people that you can effectively communicate with in the world, but you also get to be more empathic about how they view things. Maintenant, je parle parfaitement français. I improved my English a lot by practicing it. Y no te preocupes que tu lengua materna no se te va a olvidar. Y tu país tampoco. Now I'm going to talk to you about another thing that I really loved, meeting people from around the world. If you go to live to a country with a lot of immigrants, as I did, you're going to find yourself as a part of a melting pot that is absolutely wonderful. And you don't just open your mind to new cultures, you don't just learn about other countries and other ways of doing things, but you also understand that no matter where we come from, we're all practically the same. You connect with people in a very different and special way. And when you are an immigrant, silly things can connect you very much with other immigrants or other people who are living the same thing as you. Because something that might happen to you is that you can get depressed, you can feel lonely. I got discriminated more times than I can count with one hand. You get to live tough things. You become homesick. You miss your food. Let me tell you, especially if you come from a country like Mexico, you do miss food. And family and friends, and you wish they were with you and to live all these wonderful things. Everyone has that cliche that Paris is the city of love and the city of light and that it's l'amour partout. But that's not true. You get to break stereotypes, things that you thought you knew. But guess what? Once you do that, once you break a little bit inside, once you get away from everything you were used to, you get to understand that Paris might not be the city of love, but it is much more than that. You get to see how many options there are out there. You also look at your country in a very different way, and you learn a lot from looking at your country from the outside. That is completely invaluable because in the year and a half that I lived in Paris, I learned much more about my country, about Mexico, than what I would have ever learned just by staying here. There are a lot of things that you know are done a certain way, but you understand that there are millions of ways of doing things, and you can even create and choose your own way of living. And this comes with the final step of my speech, which is all these wonderful, marvelous things don't just come to you. You have to work. Because yes, just by definition, living in another country is going to change your life and everything you know. But in order for you to get the most out of the experience and your own way, just get out of your head. Get out of the things you used to do, the food you used to eat, the kind of people you normally talk to. You really have to be open to let everything in and get out of your house, visit places. Living in another country is great, but I think studying abroad is even better because you don't have an excuse not to talk to someone. And by being in a new, different scholar system, you get to learn a new way of learning. You question everything you knew, and you question everything they're teaching you from there on. Because you come with a different vision, and if you are conscious and if you are a curious person, you start searching for new and different ways of learning, different ways of thinking. From that first step, you just don't want to stop. And even if it is difficult, and even if sometimes you're going to feel lonely abroad, you're going to feel sad, as I told you earlier, it is really amazing how you grow from those experiences. You get closer to the rest of the world, you get closer to your country, to your culture, you get closer to yourself. You know, when you get out of the things you already know, and when you learn new things, you try new things with new people in a different place, you also learn a lot of things about yourself. You get to know a lot of talents that you didn't know you had, and you find friendship, and you find sometimes love, and you find yourself. And sometimes you don't even want to come back. But when you do, you're happy. You're happy because you miss things and you can apply everything you learned outside. So, do I recommend it? I guess you know the answer. I do, 100%. Get out there and give yourself a chance. And one day, you'll be doing your own video, telling your own story about your experience abroad. Thank you very much.